At exactly 6:17 a.m. on my wedding day, my phone buzzed. Not rang, buzzed. That small vibration felt louder than the generator humming outside, louder than the women laughing in the living room, louder than the pounding of my own heart. I was sitting on a small stool in my childhood bedroom, wearing a white silk gown. One side of my face was already done, foundation smooth, brows sharp, lashes curled. The other side was still bare, half bride, half myself. The makeup artist had stepped out to take a call. My bridesmaids were arguing over earrings in the next room. Someone was playing old love songs on low volume. Everything was moving forward. Except me. I picked up my phone, smiling without thinking. Maybe Daniel. Maybe a sweet good morning message. Maybe nerves dressed as romance. Unknown number. Just one message. If you don't want to marry a liar, check your mother's phone. My smile dropped. I read it again. Then again. My first reaction was irritation. Who sends nonsense on a wedding morning? Some bitter person, some jealous ex, some village witch with data. I locked my phone and dropped it on the bed. Then my heart skipped. My mother's phone. I looked around the room, suddenly aware of how quiet it had become. The laughter outside sounded distant now, like it was happening in another house, another life. My mother, Grace, had been in and out of my room since 5 a.m., checking my dress, calling caterers, praying loudly in tongues. 10 minutes earlier, she'd rushed out to supervise the decorators. She'd forgotten her handbag. It was sitting on the small wooden table by the window. Her phone was inside it. I stood up slowly. This is stupid, I whispered to myself. My mother was my best friend, my backbone, the woman who raised me alone after my father died, the woman who called Daniel my son and bragged about him to anyone who listened. Daniel, the man I was supposed to marry in less than 4 hours. I laughed nervously and shook my head. Some people just want to spoil joy. Still, my legs carried me closer to the table. I told myself I would only check to prove the message wrong, just to calm my mind, just to laugh at whoever sent it. My fingers trembled as I picked up the handbag. The phone was face down. For a moment I hesitated. This felt like crossing a line, a dangerous one you don't uncross. "Amaka, hurry up!" someone shouted from outside. I swallowed. I turned the phone over. The screen lit up. No password. My mother never used one. I opened her messages. And in that moment, standing in my wedding room, half made up, heart racing, I understood something terrible. Some messages don't come to warn you. They come to end something. My breath caught as a familiar name appeared at the top of her screen. Daniel. My groom. My chest tightened. The makeup artist knocked on the door. "Bride, I'm back." I didn't answer. I just stared at the phone in my hand, knowing before I even opened the chat that whatever was inside would change my life forever. And the wedding hadn't even started. My thumb hovered over the screen. For one foolish second I thought, maybe the name would disappear. Maybe I had read it wrong. Maybe my eyes were shaking because of fear. But it stayed there. Daniel, saved with 2 love emojis. Not Daniel O. Not Daniel Church. Not Daniel my son. The way my mother saved most men. Just Daniel. Soft, intimate, familiar. My stomach twisted. I sat back on the bed slowly, the edge pressing into the back of my knees. The room felt smaller, tighter, like the walls were listening. I tapped the name. The message thread opened. And just like that, my wedding morning cracked open. "Daniel, did you sleep well last night?" "Mum, not really. I kept thinking about you. Daniel, I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer. You know I wanted to. Mum, I know. You're a good man. I stopped breathing. My chest burned. My fingers felt numb, but they kept scrolling like they had a mind of their own. So, late night timestamps. 11:47 p.m., 1:03 a.m., 2:19 a.m. Messages sent while I slept, while I planned seating arrangements, while I prayed for a peaceful marriage. Daniel, I wish things were different. Mum, maybe in another life. Daniel, or maybe this one, if we're careful. My vision blurred. Voice notes followed. I didn't play them. I couldn't. I knew his voice. I knew the way it softened when he was being intimate, the way he laughed quietly, like a secret. That voice was never meant for my mother. I scrolled faster now, panic and disbelief pushing me forward. Hotel check-ins. Missed calls. Short messages filled with meaning and caution. Daniel, she almost noticed today. Mum, be careful, this must stop soon. Daniel, after the wedding. My heart dropped into my stomach. After the wedding. I checked the date. 2 nights ago. 2 nights before my wedding day, while my mother and I shared a bed and laughing like girls, talking about how lucky I was. I tasted something bitter at the back of my throat. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't drunken foolishness. This was a relationship. My hand shook as I scrolled further down. That was when the screen paused. A grey box appeared. Photo. Loading slowly. Painfully. I stared at the spinning circle, my heartbeat pounding in my ears, my entire body frozen. Whatever that picture was, I knew it would erase the last part of me that still hoped this was all a misunderstanding. The loading bar moved, and I prayed, too late, that it wouldn't finish. The photo finally loaded. I forgot how to breathe. It wasn't graphic. It didn't need to be. Daniel was sitting on the edge of a bed, his back half turned to the camera, shoulders relaxed like he had nothing to hide, and one hand rested on a woman's thigh, familiar, casual, intimate. My mother's thigh. I knew the wrapper instantly. Brown, tiny yellow flowers, soft cotton. I bought it for her last Christmas because she said it looked simple and decent. My ears began to ring. The bed beneath them made everything worse. The iron frame, the faded floral bedsheet, the small tear at the corner near the pillow, the one I noticed last week when I helped her spread the bed properly. Let me arrange it well for you, Mama, I had said, laughing. This was that bed. My mother's bed. My fingers trembled as I zoomed in, hoping stupidly that I had misunderstood. Daniel's face came into clearer view. Calm, comfortable, the same face that told me the night before. Tomorrow will be the happiest day of our lives. My chest tightened painfully. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't one weak night or an accident explained by alcohol or loneliness. This was familiarity. Routine, a place he had been before and would return to again. Every memory rushed back at once, how Daniel lingered too long when talking to my mother, how she defended him whenever we argued, how they exchanged looks I never questioned because love made me foolish. Betrayal settled into me, heavy and cold. Not the loud kind. The quiet kind that rearranges your past and poisons even the good memories. I pressed my palm over my mouth, holding back a sound that wanted to tear out of me. My wedding dress hung silently nearby, white and innocent, mocking me. Then I heard it. The soft creak of the door. My body stiffened. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. Only one person entered my room without knocking. I turned slowly. My mother stood by the door, her gel slightly loose, her blouse half buttoned as if she had rushed in. Her face was calm, too calm, not shocked, not confused, just careful. For a second we stared at each other. I held up the phone. My hand was shaking now, violently, but I didn't drop it. "Mummy," I said, my voice coming out thin and broken, "tell me this is not what I think it is." She looked at the screen. She didn't scream. She didn't ask how I got it. She didn't even try to grab the phone. She sighed. A long, tired sigh that crushed whatever hope I still had left. "It just happened," she said quietly. Those 3 words hit me harder than the photo. It just happened. Like it was rain. Like it was a mistake with no owner. I laughed once, sharp and hollow. "It just happened? You and my fiancé just happened?" She avoided my eyes and walked into the room, lowering herself onto the chair near my wardrobe. She looked suddenly older, smaller. "I was lonely, Amaka," she said. "Since your father died, I've been alone. Daniel used to stay back after visits. He listened to me. He asked how I was coping." My chest burned. "So you coped with him?" I asked. She flinched. "That's not fair," she said quickly. "I didn't plan it. He was the one who noticed me. He was kind. He comforted me." Comforted. The word made me feel sick. "That's the same word he uses with me," I whispered. She finally looked up then, her eyes shiny but not crying. "You don't understand how quiet this house gets at night," she said. "Sometimes a woman just wants to feel seen." I felt something snap inside me. "So you chose my fiancé," I said slowly. "Out of all the men in this world, you chose the one I was about to marry." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. Silence filled the room, thick and heavy. From outside I could hear laughter, the sound of chairs scraping, someone testing the microphone in the hall. Life was moving forward. My wedding was still happening, just without my consent. Then my phone rang on the bed. I glanced at the screen. Wedding planner. I answered without taking my eyes off my mother. "Amaka," the cheerful voice said. "Guests have started arriving. We're ready whenever you are." I swallowed. My mother reached for my hand. I pulled away. And in that moment, I knew whatever happened next would change everything. Daniel arrived like nothing had happened. Suit perfectly pressed, shoes shining, smile wide and confident, the same smile that used to calm me on my worst days. He stepped into my room like a man stepping into his future. "My wife," he said softly, opening his arms. "You look beautiful." I felt my stomach turn. I stepped back before he could touch me. "We need to talk," I said. Something in my voice must have warned him, because his smile faltered slightly. He glanced at my mother, who was standing near the window, then back at me. "Can we talk outside?" he asked gently. "No," I said. "Now." I locked the door. The click sounded louder than it should have. Daniel swallowed and adjusted his tie. "Amaka, what is wrong? You're shaking." I didn't answer. I picked up my mother's phone and held it out to him, the screen already open to the photo. His eyes dropped. And just like that, the last piece of my heart broke. He didn't look shocked. He didn't ask questions. He closed his eyes briefly, as if annoyed at being interrupted. "So you've seen it," he said quietly. My ears rang. "You slept with my mother," I said, each word heavy. "Tell me I'm lying." He sighed. "It's not how it looks." I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You were in her bed, Daniel." He ran a hand through his hair. "It happened a few times," he admitted, "but it didn't mean anything." Anything. I felt like slapping him. So what did it mean? I asked. Practice? He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Amaka, calm down. This is not the time for drama. Drama? My mother and my fiancé sleeping together is drama. She was lonely, he said quickly. You know how much she leans on me. I was just being there for her. Being there. The same words she used. You were there with your clothes off, I said. He exhaled sharply. Listen, I love you. This wedding should still happen. We can sort this out later. I stared at him, stunned by the confidence in his voice, the entitlement. He reached for my hand again, and again I pulled away. Amaka, he said softly, don't ruin today. Then he said the one thing that finally crushed whatever was left. You should forgive your mother, he said. She didn't mean to hurt you. My knees went weak. Forgive her. On my wedding day. Before I even walked down the aisle. I looked at him and realized with terrifying clarity that the man I was about to marry didn't see me as a person. He saw me as an obstacle, and the wedding was minutes away. The room filled quickly after that. Like bad luck, everyone arrived at once. Auntie Kate came in first, fanning herself, her lips already shaped for advice that would not save anyone. 2 churchwomen followed behind her, whispering prayers that sounded more like warnings. Somewhere down the corridor, chairs scraped, heels clicked, life continued. Daniel stood beside me like nothing was wrong. He leaned in and whispered, calling off this wedding will bring shame. I turned slowly to him. Shame to who? I asked. He didn't answer directly, he never did. The church will talk. Your mother will not recover from it. People will say terrible things about you. About me. Not about the man who slept with his bride's mother. Not about the mother who betrayed her daughter. Me. Auntie Kate cleared her throat. Amaka, my dear, come and sit. I remained standing. This marriage is already known, she continued. People have cooked. Guests have travelled. You can't just cancel like that. I laughed softly. It sounded like crying. So I should marry a man who slept with my mother, I said. Because rice is on fire? She shot me a look. Lower your voice. Lower my voice. Daniel nodded. Please, let's not turn this into something ugly. Ugly had already happened. Auntie Kate moved closer and took my hands. Her grip was warm. Her words were not. Marriage is not easy, she said gently. Sometimes you endure. Endure. The words sat in my chest like a stone. So I should endure betrayal? I asked. She sighed. You're not the first woman to face pain. You'll be fine. I pulled my hands away. In that moment, it hit me with brutal clarity. I was the sacrifice. My silence would protect the family name. My endurance would save the church embarrassment. My pain would keep the celebration alive. Daniel wasn't losing anything. My mother wasn't losing anything. I was losing everything. Outside the door, the wedding music began to play. Soft at first, sweet, hopeful. The sound of a life about to be stolen. The hall was already breathing when I got there. Not quietly, loud, expectant, alive. Plastic chairs filled every corner, dressed in white covers that hid their scratches. Ceiling fans spun lazily, pushing around perfume, sweat, and anticipation. People leaned forward, necks stretched, eyes hunting for the bride who was taking too long. Me. Pastor John stood at the altar, Bible open, face calm like nothing in the world could go wrong today. He adjusted his microphone and smiled at the crowd. My mother sat in the front row, dressed beautifully. Gold wrapper, matching head tie, earrings I bought her last Christmas. She looked peaceful. like a woman who had already made her choice. Daniel stood beside the pastor, tall, confident, smiling at anyone who looked his way. He straightened his suit and whispered jokes to his best man. If guilt existed in him, it didn't show. He looked like a groom about to be rewarded, not exposed. My stomach twisted. This was the man who said my name like a promise and broke it in my own home. Around the hall, whispers floated. Why is she taking so long? Maybe she's just emotional. Brides always delay. If only they knew. I stood behind the curtain, bouquet heavy in my hands, makeup perfect on my face. Outside, I looked like joy. Inside, I was fighting for oxygen. Shame pressed on one side of my chest. Self-respect on the other. One voice said, "Go out. Smile. Endure. Don't ruin everything." Another voice whispered, "If you walk out there, you will disappear." The music softened. The MC cleared his throat, smiling into the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced cheerfully, "please rise as we welcome the bride." My heart slammed once. Then he said the words that felt like a final bell. "Bride, please come out." The music swelled. That slow, emotional song they play when a bride is meant to float forward, smiling through tears of joy. I didn't move. The veil rested on my face, soft and suffocating. For a moment I stayed still, long enough for the hall to murmur, long enough for confusion to ripple through the seats. Then I reached up and removed it. Gasps followed. I folded the veil carefully, my hands steadier than I felt, and placed it on the chair beside me. The white dress suddenly felt heavier, like it carried expectations I never agreed to. I sat down. The music stumbled, then faded into an awkward silence. As I sat there, memories rushed in, sharp and cruel. Daniel laughing too easily with my mother in the kitchen. The way he volunteered to drive her to church when I was busy. How she defended him fiercely whenever I complained. Red flags I painted white because love told me to be patient, because everyone said, "He's a good man." Across the hall, I saw Daniel's smile fade. Confusion crept into his eyes, then irritation. He took a small step forward as if to signal me, "Come, don't embarrass me." My mother didn't look at me. Not once. That hurt more than anything. I stood up slowly. The hall leaned in. This was it, I thought, the moment I either lose myself or save myself. I lifted my bouquet, took a deep breath, and began to walk. But not toward the altar. I didn't raise my voice. That was the strange part. I walked straight to the front, past Daniel, past the pastor, past the life everyone had arranged for me. My heels clicked against the tiled floor, loud enough to hush the room. The MC still had the microphone in his hand. I took it from him gently. The hall was silent now, the kind of silence that presses against your ears. I faced them all, family, friends, church members, people who watched me grow up, people who came to eat rice and celebrate love. My hands trembled once, then I steadied them. "I'm sorry," I said calmly, my voice clear. "I can't marry a man who sleeps with my mother." For half a second, nobody breathed. Then the hall exploded. Gasps tore through the crowd like wildfire. Someone screamed my name. Chairs scraped loudly as people stood. Whispers collided, turning into noise, then into chaos. What did she say? God forbid! This is a lie. I looked at my mother. Her face drained of the colour. Her lips parted as if to speak, but no sound came out. Her knees buckled. She collapsed. People rushed forward, shouting her name. Someone poured water. Another screamed for a doctor. The woman who raised me lay on the floor of my wedding hall, exposed by the truth she never planned to confess. Well, Daniel didn't move. He stood frozen, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. No denial, no anger. Just shock, like a man caught without a script. Pastor John kept calling my name. Amaka, Amaka, please. I handed the microphone back to the MC. I turned around. No tears. No explanations. No apologies. I walked down the aisle alone, white dress brushing against the floor, heart pounding but strangely light. Behind me, my wedding burned. Ahead of me, I chose myself. By the evening, the hall was empty, but the consequences followed me like shadows. Phone calls from relatives and friends arrived one after another. Why did you humiliate the family? Even if it's true, why in front of everyone? You've disgraced everyone. Disgraced. Not Daniel, not my mother. Me. The church elders called for a meeting. Their voices were soft but heavy with judgment. Amaka, forgiveness is the path, one said. Consider your mother's heart, another added. Your silence could have preserved peace. Peace, a word that felt like a cage. My mother avoided me completely. She didn't call. She didn't answer messages. When I passed her room, the door remained closed. Each silent encounter burned hotter than any insult or whisper. I returned to my apartment alone, the weight of the wedding dress heavy in my hands. I folded it carefully and placed it in the wardrobe, as if closing a chapter that no longer belonged to me. For the first time in weeks, I slept without fear. When I woke, I was alone, but for the first time I felt free. No pretending. No swallowing pain. No sacrificing myself for the comfort of others. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Long. Paragraph after paragraph. My thumb hovered over his name. I didn't open it. Not yet. Something inside me whispered that whatever he had written, it couldn't undo what was already done. Weeks passed, though it felt like years. Daniel's messages kept coming. Long paragraphs filled with apologies, excuses, and promises. It's over, he wrote repeatedly. I ended it, I swear. Please give me another chance. For a moment, I almost believed him. Almost. But then I saw it. A message from my mother, sent accidentally to a family group chat. Daniel's name appeared again, not as a memory, not as a past tense, but alive and present. They were still talking, still meeting, still pretending. I stared at my phone, heart pounding, anger boiling through every vein. The relief I had felt after walking out of that wedding returned, but this time sharper, harder, reinforced by truth. I had made the right choice. I didn't need them. I didn't need their lies, their betrayals, their excuses. I blocked Daniel. I blocked my mother. I deleted every number, every contact, every trace of them from my phone. For the first time, the silence was mine. And in that silence, I felt something I hadn't felt in months: freedom. I packed away memories that were once beautiful but now poisonous. I folded them neatly, letting the anger and betrayal sit where it belonged, behind me. The world continued around me. Life didn't pause for betrayal or heartbreak, but I finally knew one thing: I didn't have to endure it anymore. 1 year had passed since the day my world had cracked open. I stood in my apartment, sunlight spilling through the curtains. The city hummed outside, indifferent to the chaos I had left behind. I was stronger now, wiser, the kind of woman who recognized her worth before anyone else could tell her. I didn't need a wedding to validate me. I didn't need apologies that never came. I didn't need people who saw me as a sacrifice. Work, friends, evenings of quiet laughter, all belonged to me now. I made decisions for myself, not to protect anyone else's image. I answered to no one. I smiled without apology. I slept without fear. Sometimes I thought of Daniel, of my mother, of that wedding that never was, and I didn't feel bitterness anymore, only clarity. I had survived. I had chosen me. That wedding was never my destiny. Walking away was. The mirror reflected a woman I barely recognized, confident, whole, free. And I whispered softly, a truth I would carry forever. Losing my wedding saved my future. Sometimes, I still wondered, who could have sent that message that saved me?